Mhm. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Happy Star Trek Tuesday, everybody. It is your favorite time of the week. It's time for the main viewer, where we talk all the Star Trek news of the week and some other sci-fi stuff, sometimes some science fantasy news. For those of you that like Star Wars, you recognize that as science. Isn't it science fantasy? Isn't that the rule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for all
All right.
mankind, we talk about that sometimes.
Yeah.
That's sci-fi all the way, right?
That is.
So everybody, we have compiled our list of the top 10 Star Trek news stories of 2023. It's going to be insane. You will be shocked to find out what made our top 10 list.
I can't wait.
Unless you've been paying attention to last year, then probably not.
Excited.
There's also some Discovery news. There's some Star Trek movie news. There is, like, because every week there's Star Trek movie news, but this is the different kind of Star Trek movie news. There's some Star Trek Prodigy news. But what we got to point out right away, here's the big news. Dr. Mohammed Noor is here, everybody.
It's not big news, but always a pleasure to be on Virtual Trek Cons, the main viewer.
And it was his birthday yesterday, everybody. So if you are not one of the
Older.
14,000 people that wished him a happy birthday, please do so now, and he will respond to each and every one of you.
I gotcha. Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
Melissa Longo is also here. What's up?
Yo, what up? Look at my shirt. It's from
Wonderful.
a fun store.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
My shirt there too. Whoa.
Oh, whoa.
So you could get your very own Ferengi family shirt or Prune Juice and Chill shirt that Jenny R. Johnson is wearing at the Star Trek and Chill online store. It's you just click that link in the description box below. Also, Mohammed is modeling Melissa's cool hoodie that you could get at the introvertedrepublic.com.
It's so comfy, too. Love
And
it.
it's a good color.
Yeah.
My point is that Jenny R. Johnson's here.
Oh, hi.
Yay.
Hello. Happy New Year.
We have double art power and double doc power.
Yes.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And look, speaking of double doc power, Mohammed is alluding to Dr. Anne Marie Siegel,
Hi.
Trekkie MD.
You can also add electrician to your.
Yes, I just changed the fuse plug.
Now, everybody, when you are done wishing Dr. Mohammed Noor a happy birthday, those of you that are in Europe and the UK and Asia can wish Melissa Longo a happy birthday, because her birthday is January 3rd. So Robert Kaiser, that's you.
Wow.
Oh, and my name is Ryan T. Husk, everybody.
Yay, Ryan.
No worries, my birthday is
Yay.
far away. We don't have to stress about that. Anne-Marie's is even farther. Jenny's is just right before Anne-Marie's, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, wait.
Celebrate with us.
No,
and
other
video.
way around? I think it's the other way
Wait,
around.
what were you,
I'm
August?
the second.
I'm the 4th.
Okay,
Oh,
so right
Mhm.
after.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. So let's get started on this. Everybody is dying to know about the top 10 list. What we did was we polled all of our panelists, not just from this show, but also Star Trek and Chill and members of our team. It's a giant group of people. By giant, I mean moderate. And we numbered things 1 through 10. We had an interesting point system. It was nuts. I don't even understand it all, but it works out, I think. So we have compiled our top 10 list. Oh, everybody, please. It's like, think of us as like Ferenginar. Yeah, Mohammed knows. You know how anytime you need anything at Ferenginar, you got to drop like a deposit of like, all you have to
Yes.
do is deposit a like and a subscribe.
Yes.
It's really easy. For 90 minutes of entertainment, just click a couple buttons. Click the like button, please. Click subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. And right now they're like, a nice review? That doesn't sound like clicking a button. That sounds like typing stuff.
it's much safer than a Ferengi Genesis device, though.
True.
Yes.
Behind a paywall. All right. Did I miss anything? Is that everything?
No, we just the live chat says, oh, Back of the Head says, first For All Mankind mention of 2024.
Hey!
So my sisters actually have a double header with interviews on Wednesday for All Mankind at
Oh.
9:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to
Wow.
check out the Sci-Fi Sisters channel.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. So first things first. Actually, what time was that again? Tell us again one more time,
9:30
please.
p.m. on Wednesday. And they're
Eastern.
interviewing
Eastern,
Margot
got it.
and I think Danny.
I think it was Danny.
I'm, like,
Danny was one of
super
them for
excited.
sure. Yeah,
Oh my
Chris,
God, my
Chris
favorite
Marshall.
Starfleet captain. Yeah.
What got so quiet all of a sudden?
I was just like trying to tiptoe around For All Mankind because I know you like to keep it mostly Star Trek, but oh my God,
Man.
that show is so good.
It's very
Oh,
Star Trek
gosh.
adjacent.
Yes.
It is, but we don't want spoilers
That
because some
too.
of us haven't gotten
That
through
too.
season 4 yet.
Yeah. Or season 1.
Oh man.
So
That
just don't
too.
say anything. No.
Well, look, let's just get started on this thing because everybody in the live chat is getting very antsy.
Yeah.
That's Fran Iverson, Linda Anderegg, Glenn Iverson, Chuck A, Wanda Lane, Dave Gregory, Bob D. Oh, Melissa and Anne Marie are also there. Allison Leach Hyde, JR Poole. We see all of you. What's up? Welcome. Let's just get into this. So we'll start with number 10. Dr. Noor, do you want to start
I would be
for us?
honored to.
All right. So what is number 10? What got 10th place in the top 10 thing? We're starting with number 10 and
Ah.
only number 10, right?
Well, the problem is we actually had a 4-way tie for 9th place.
That's crazy.
Amazing.
What?
Amazing.
That complicates things just a
Mhm,
bit.
mhm.
So I guess each of us could do one of them.
That's
So what that means is it's actually top 12 then, right? Because there's 9, 10,
Yeah.
11, and 12 are now
Right.
tied at 9.
Yeah.
Or okay. Well, let's hear them.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start us off. So one of them is, this is news that actually made it onto NPR. So this is like big news. I remember hearing it on Evening Edition, which is Patrick Stewart's Making It So memoir released with a book tour.
Mm.
Great
Yeah.
point. That was a really great NPR article.
Yeah.
And
I was surprised. I was listening to NPR's Evening Edition or whatever it's called, and I remember just hearing Patrick Stewart's voice when I clicked down. I was like, am I on the
Oh,
right channel? This is
Yeah.
great.
nice.
It's a really big one. It's really nice to
Didn't
see.
that make a lot of new? Oh, by the way, everybody, our criteria was kind of 3 things.
Yeah.
Biggest, most impactful, and most talked about. So biggest is very subjective, right? Most impactful is a little bit more objective, I think, because you can kind of tell what's going to impact the Star Trek industry or
Yeah.
Star Trek fandom. And most talked about,
Yeah.
that's the one I'm always the most confident in because I sit there in those Facebook fan groups and I see what people talk about like nonstop. Biggest and most impactful, whatever, I don't really know. But for me, I love the ones that are like the most talked about. But I love that everybody here has like different perspectives and viewpoints.
Well, part of it is who's talking about it, right? So
Yes.
within the Star Trek group, this
Right.
one was big, but it wasn't necessarily the biggest things relative to some other things, which we'll probably come back to later as we'll hear soon. But outside of the Star Trek, I mean, Patrick Stewart obviously is well known, of course, within the Star Trek fan community, but also very well known outside, and in a whole bunch of other venues too. I mean, we know he played Professor X in the Marvel universe. I mean, he's a big
a knight.
deal. He's a knight,
Yes.
yeah, right? Exactly. No, he's a big deal. So in terms of talked about, like most of the other things we're gonna discuss probably didn't end up on like NPR's Evening News, but but they were big in the Star Trek community. So again, the most talked about depends on who exactly is doing the talking sometimes.
Totally. And by the way, so tied for 9th place, we all know, was this guy with his book, Making It So. And that was also not just the book itself, but it felt like I saw a lot of news articles that were derived from what was
Tons.
written,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely the content and
Mhm.
it. Several news articles from Back of the Head,
Yep.
for example.
And they also, like, in every city had a different person, like, interviewing him about his memoir.
Mhm.
And obviously, like, two of them were Whoopi Goldberg and LeVar Burton, but other cities had people who were, like, famous for other reasons. So
Yeah.
I feel like it really did reach a lot of people.
Definitely. Yeah, and he also because of who he is and his like his voice and his just his presence, the audiobook I think got a lot more traction than your average biography. I've been listening to
Except
it.
Barbara Streisand, yes.
Well, of course.
That's a high
Of
bar.
course.
That is a high
It wasn't
bar.
1,000 pages.
Yes. Yeah.
The best was when he cited Ryan for his Beverly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was like a whole
They
chapter,
actually had
wasn't it?
Ryan do ADR.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
And everybody at home, make sure you let us know what you think of these. So
Yeah.
was this that big of a deal? Was this, I don't think I put this in my top 10. I think, but
Let's
now
see,
that
I
I
did.
think about it, maybe I was in error because now I'm thinking about all of the articles that were derived from this. So it wasn't just the book itself, but it was maybe just a pebble in the ocean, but it created a ripple effect that was seen around Vulcan.
People rewriting the articles that we all have known for like decades because they come out
Yes.
at conventions all the time. But they were like, so we didn't necessarily talk about those articles, but they were going around in mainstream again.
Definitely.
All right.
Mhm.
So moving on to what was the other one? The second one tied for 9th place. Melissa, what do you got for us?
Gene Roddenberry's lost Enterprise model is found. What? It's found.
That was cool.
That was cool, I agree.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that one is kind of ongoing too,
Mhm.
because we know that Rod
A
Roddenberry,
developing story.
Yeah.
right, is trying to get it, and I'm guessing he will, right? Why wouldn't he?
I would think.
Unless whoever is, selling it, it just goes to some outrageous number, and then Rod just says, "Okay, well, you're just being ridiculous. You can
Yeah.
just hang on to this thing then." But that was pretty big news.
Totally.
That was
Mhm.
pretty big news, and it's
Very.
developing, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were those both in all y'all's top 10?
That actually
Not mine, I don't think.
wasn't in mine. Yeah. Because and I get it because again, that's another thing that can kind of push over into like more mainstream. Probably did get talked about a little bit more.
Mhm.
Because it isn't just a like 2023 centric story, it's not
Right.
about new Trek, it's about like classic stuff. And also Rod's involvement. It would be one thing if it had just been found, surprise, surprise, and somebody bought it on eBay, but the fact that like the Roddenberry Foundation is getting archive, sorry. The Roddenberry Archive is getting involved makes it extra cool.
Yeah, I guess now that I think about it, because it could end up at the Smithsonian. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty big.
Absolutely.
But so much happened this year. Hard to say.
I know.
But it's kind of time capsule-y. I mean, it's
yeah.
a
Mhm.
moment in history that it's to me it's pretty.
Well, it's like an
Pretty big.
heirloom, basically,
Yeah,
right? And people,
yeah.
we are still basically, as Muhammad will attest, we're still basically monkeys that, with perfume on. So we have such
Hairless
a
apes.
yeah,
Yeah.
we love tangible things, and we hang on. How many things do we hang on to for like 30 years that
Yes.
it's not even important at all, but for some reason we just have this attachment to it. Now,
Mhm.
multiply that times 1,000,000, because this is like an attachment that we all have, and it was like
Yeah.
this is a huge item.
Plus,
So
there's like a heist involved. And
Yeah.
it's
that's true. It's got a
basically-
crazy story.
It's like a
Great story.
Fabergé egg being found.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Everybody in the live chat, let us know, what is the number one thing that you hang on to just for nostalgic reasons? Like for no, I've had like old shoes that I felt bad throwing away.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's an old shoe. My
Mhm.
big toe sticks out of it, and the back of it
Yeah.
talks to me. Yet I'm like, thank you, old shoes. You were really good to me when we, walked and stuff.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Well, think how many of
I
us
have
like
those too. I have those kind of things too. I'm like, I feel guilty about
Absolutely.
throwing it away because it's
Yeah.
so
We've spent so much
useful.
time together. Yeah.
think how many of us
you
go
know?
to conventions and collect autographs too. I mean, like we collect those and we keep
Absolutely.
them forever, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
ever a
Totally.
plan of throwing those away. So-
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And all collectibles,
Yeah.
that's just kind of how we are. But so that's two of the four. I can't believe we have a four-way tie
Me
at 9.
neither.
What a
This is
I
log
know, it's
jam.
amazing.
This is
What a
awesome.
log jam. Jenny, what is the third one tied for 9th place?
Well, this one was definitely in my top 10 because it was a big deal. And it was the characters from Strange New Worlds and Lower Deck do the first ever crossover episode. Do their first ever crossover episode. There. Not the. There.
There. Yeah, that was pretty big news.
Mhm.
Was there another cross? I mean, aside from like pilots, is there
they
another
say
true
Deep Space.
crossover?
Relics.
Trials and Tribulations. Yeah.
Trials and
so
Tribulations, that definitely would count.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
the Voyager with one with George Takei.
Mhm.
It
Relics
depends,
with
like,
Scotty.
Yeah, fair. That would
No,
be
I
fair,
don't
too.
think so.
Unification.
No, Voyager
No?
with Takei, because then you also have like Scotty and Next Generation.
Well,
Is
yeah,
that
that's what we're saying.
is that a crossover? Nah,
Yes.
that's just a
Kind of.
that's just a character. Well, then I guess that's what this.
Well, but it
kinda
was
is,
for
too.
the one specific with Takei, though, they were referring back to the events from Undiscovered Country. It wasn't just Takei showed up. It was
Right.
in that sense
Then-
it was connected to that.
And Grace Lee Whitney.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
first Kelvin movie then a crossover movie?
Oh
What?
yeah.
I should have asked J.J. Abrams on New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah,
when
you
I
saw him, right?
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were like 30 people in one of them. It was him. We were like,
That's
"What?"
amazing.
Crazy. You had to come sing some show tunes.
Wow.
This was
Awesome.
really high on my list. I think
Mhm.
this was higher on my list than most for sure, because I just, maybe I'm wrong about this. I just thought it was really novel. I felt like,
Yeah.
or maybe it was because it was animated
Well,
crossing
that
into
especially.
live action, but it just felt like this was something that had never been done before. I mean, we've had
Mhm.
characters, we've had references and time travel and all this, but this one just felt like they were trying to say, here are, maybe it's because it's from two current shows,
Yeah.
Mm.
but whatever it
Totally.
was, it felt very new and
Fresh.
momentous and creative to me. Like the writers were saying, let's do something crazy,
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess things like that have been done before. Like, for example, Voyager started off at Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
That was two
Mhm.
current
Yeah.
shows.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
and the doctor
then
was
Deep
in
Space
an
Nine.
episode.
Yeah. I'm like talking myself
Yeah.
out of this, but
And there's Deep Space Nine, TNG. Well, and there's TNG Enterprise. But
Oh,
I guess
that's true.
just-
That would count.
it was
sadly.
so hard
would.
to do a top 10 list that I ended up bouncing this, even though like this got talked about like almost ad nauseum.
Mhm.
The fact that it got like announced at Mission Chicago the year before, I decided to like
Same.
I just had to make
that's
some
fair.
calls. But
That's
it
fair.
really was top news, especially because during the strike, like there were like this
Mhm.
was really, really focused on
Yeah.
something to promote.
I think it was also there was an extra element with this because there's that section of the fandom that's like, Lower Decks isn't canon,
Yes.
you know?
Also,
So-
this
We
epi-
do not
that
speak
episode
of that
is
section.
making This episode is making top 10 lists, like in mainstream
Absolutely,
things
yeah.
also, so
The fact
that's
that
a
it's
great point.
fantastic on top of being novel
Right.
is
Very
huge.
watchable.
Mhm.
Well, let us know, everybody, in the live chat. What do you think? Was this Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover episode? Was this something special and new, or was it just another, adaptation of an idea that's been done before? Maybe you think it was done really well, but it wasn't anything too shockingly new or novel. It was just a good version of something we've seen before. It felt new to me, but I'm kind of talking myself out of it. I ranked it pretty high though. I thought it was big news. Big news. I went nuts. And I felt like and also we're talking about what was the most talked about of the year. And this
Right.
was very
It was definitely talked
highly
about.
Yeah.
talked about, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, Anne-Marie, what was the fourth and final news item tied for ninth place?
Okay, so we have Section 31 Michelle Yeoh project greenlit
Mhm.
as a movie event, which we had already known about it, but the fact, I think at the end of March 2023, they released this announcement that it wasn't going to be a series, it was going to be a movie event. And I
Mhm.
feel like that movie event part sort of like set everybody talking about, first of all, what that means, what the potential for the future could be, how that could like play into future movie events, because they implied that this would be the first of like a possible many.
Yeah.
But it maybe wasn't like that specific nugget of information, maybe wasn't the most like mainstream thing, but it
Mhm.
certainly was talked about a ton. So I put it on my top 10.
I agree with Anne-Marie, and part of it was I think the fact that she just recently got
Oh,
the
yes,
Academy
and she just
Award.
won.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that had some people nervous, like, okay, is this actually still going to happen, or is she now like, oh, I'm going to go on and do like a sequel to Forrest Gump or something like
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally, that's the other piece of it for sure.
Yes.
Well, and the curiosity surrounding Section 31 and diving into that kind of world that we have
Mhm.
only skimmed the surface of up to this point, that's kind of exciting too, which makes it something worth talking about as well.
Mhm.
Also big shout out to our good friend, Mr. Matt Boardman, for making this cool background for us all
Yeah.
here. Look at all these
Yeah.
news items.
Yeah.
Some of these news
Amazing.
items may not have even made the top 10 list, but it's like a collage of several of them. Yeah, the Michelle Yeoh, it was in my top 10, and it was right around where this one is, because
Mhm.
Same.
Mhm.
we already knew it was going to be a show. If we didn't know anything and they just announced that it's now some kind of thing, but really the news was just this production, rather than being a series, it's going to be a movie. That was new, didn't blow me away,
Mhm.
but it was interesting and people did talk about it, right?
Mhm.
Also the fact that like anytime a Star Trek actor, usually they've won that Oscar already before being in Star Trek, but
Yeah.
I just feel like once there's that combination, it's mentioned for forever. Like, so this will continue to be talked about for the rest of Star Trek history.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So our buddy Back of the Head, that's John Orchiola of Screen Rant, says it was also the first time animated characters jumped to live action to crossover with a live action show, and then vice versa. And he's
Yeah.
talking about the Strange New
Right.
Worlds
True.
Lower Decks
Definitely.
mix.
Love that part.
But yeah,
I
so
love
back,
seeing them all as cartoons.
I know, it was awesome.
They were great.
that was all the rage. It really was.
Yeah.
But back to the Section 31 thing, I think the big news is going to be this year. Even if even if it doesn't come out this year, we're going to see, images. There's going to be
Teaser.
casting announcements. Yes, there's going to be a huge
Billboards.
teaser. Times Square is going to have that weird 3D thing where Michelle Yeoh is coming and like choking you or something, but you're really feeling it.
That's amazing.
It's like 4D.
You said casting announcements. Just so you know, I'm available.
Mhm.
Yeah, right?
And you look amazing in black
That's true.
and leather.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. That's like
wow.
a Section 31 requirement.
Anne-Marie, that's a secret.
Yeah.
yeah. I've
I
ever
mean-
seen
I mean,
anybody
pleather.
here in leather.
Pleather.
I
Yes.
want a leather dress for the Laffy Award. But I guess you can't really help.
Mm.
Everybody knows Toadie's second album was called Pleather, obviously. Everybody knows that. So that's pretty big. Are we ready to move on to number 8, or do we want to just keep doing number 9s forever?
Wait,
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Excited.
Well,
Bated breath.
here we go. Number 7 of the biggest, the 7th biggest Star Trek news story of 2023 is, oh boy, Subspace
Ah.
Rhapsody. Star
Boy.
Trek does
Yeah.
a musical. That
Yeah.
is definitely a first, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is the
Definitely.
first.
Definitely.
Mhm.
this was talked about everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it came out while we were all at STLV. So that was even the
Mhm.
extra sort of like
And
buzz.
Paramount sent out boxes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
very
And the
cool.
reception was actually like, I thought resoundingly positive.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. For anybody who
And-
saw it, it was positive.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Right.
And the score itself, didn't the soundtrack like end up
Yes,
ranking pretty
yeah.
like yeah,
Mhm.
which is awesome.
So their voices are really good. Like Ethan
really
Becker was saying
are.
that
Oh
he
my
didn't sing
gosh.
before, but I was like, oh my god, you didn't sing before? That
He
was how you
didn't sing
started?
before that?
That's what he said at
Crazy.
DragonCon. I was like, what?
Wow.
Amazing.
Like, okay.
He
Yes.
was so
I
good.
feel
Mhm.
inadequate.
He was so good. Well, I mean, all you have to do is listen to him talk on a microphone, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Ethan Peck,
Some
keep
resonance
going.
there, yes.
Yes.
Like you could just Rex Harrison sing, which is just
Right?
like talking over music.
Right?
He's so good.
Yes.
Rex
Yeah.
Harrison.
You
feel like
know,
he
My
could-
Fair
I
My
feel like
Lady.
he
Fair
could-
Lady.
Yeah, do it. I've grown accustomed to her face. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mm,
Oh, I love this. I love that musical.
me too.
And
That was
Audrey
talked about a ton.
Hepburn. Yeah.
That
Mhm.
was
Totally.
everywhere. This is okay.
You have a
This is
t-shirt of
why.
it.
Oh, that's true. This is why I put it high on my list
Hmm.
as far as a big news item, was because it transcended Star Trek and was getting high on the charts of Billboard, like Billboard
Mhm.
charts
Yeah.
and downloads, like iTunes downloads and Spotify and all that. So that's, to me, when something like gets even bigger than Star Trek and starts going into other worlds,
Mhm.
like imagine if you're just, some bro that's trying to look up something about the New England Patriots new song or whatever, if they're singing the Last Place Shuffle. Sorry, Patriots fans. They're not doing too well this year.
They are not.
Let's say they're looking up a song, and then they just see just a ton of songs from Subspace, and they're like, what the heck is Subspace Rhapsody? Is this some new movie? Is this some new band? Well, it's Australian. What's going on here? And then they're like, Star Trek? I thought Star Trek was a TV show,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's why it was really high for me, is because I feel like it was giant news, not just within Star Trek, but the entertainment industry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Good
it's
point.
true. Very true.
And
Yeah.
they've been talking about it for decades, making a musical, and then it finally happened.
mhm.
Have they?
Yeah, they always have talked about it, like since '90s Star Trek at least, and then
Really?
it got talked about constantly in Discovery, like with the
Yeah,
Discovery cast,
Discovery,
who
yeah.
I really strongly feel deserved a musical episode.
Yes.
It's not cool that they
Although,
didn't get one.
and-
I mean,
Jimmy
multiple
Rapp.
in Rent, right? I mean,
Yeah, and they were
Yes.
like angling for it for forever, so I felt
Yeah.
like they deserved it. but-
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because in the year of, how many, there's like the Mean Girls movie and Willy Wonka, and I think there's another one that have been promoted without any acknowledgement of the fact that they're musicals, is such a weird thing, like that they're trying to just like sneak
Wait.
it in, and Star Trek just like busts the door open, like, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right. You know,
What? Willy
Yeah.
Wonka's a musical?
there you go, right? Yes.
What?
I said the same
Yes.
thing. I was like, how did I not know that? I found
Yeah.
out a few days
I didn't
ago.
know
It's
that
so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Mind
And yet
blown.
the trailers. Yeah.
I mean,
so
isn't it though? Like the Willy, I mean, the
Because you
original
can see the
movie
original
wasn't.
movie
Yeah.
is. The
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
movie has a lot of music.
yes,
It does have a lot of music.
Mhm.
What constitutes a
Yeah, I was
musical?
going to ask that too. I was going to ask the same question.
Because
I was
I'm
just
the wrong
thinking that.
person to be commenting on this, I
It-
think.
Well,
It's a musical is a movie that or a story that uses the music to push the plot along.
Mhm.
A
Gotcha,
movie
makes
with a
sense.
lot of music will have a lot of music in it, but the music doesn't necessarily push the story along. That's what
Yeah.
I learned when I was
That
going
makes
to
perfect
school
sense.
Yeah, that
for
makes
So
sense.
was-
Yeah.
theater.
So would Lion King not count, or Little Mermaid? Would those not count?
No,
No,
those are
Disney
musicals,
are
definitely.
all,
do.
yeah,
They do count.
They
definitely.
do.
Okay.
But like a
Yeah.
movie like Almost Famous, that the music's really important, but it's
Yeah.
not
Right.
It doesn't progress like it doesn't have
It
anything
doesn't
to do with the
progress the story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think Willy Wonka, the movies is borderline.
The-
We honor it as a musical at Marie's, but it's hard to say. It's hard to
got-
say. It's
it's
very
got-
gray area.
It's got like Cheer Up Charlie and the bubble burp
Pure
song.
imagination.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's one of my favorite songs
so
ever.
pretty.
Yeah,
I
like it
love
doesn't have a
that
yeah.
song.
Yeah.
What
You're
about,
Charlie. Yeah.
And the
So,
one
for
that he sings on the
example-
boat, the scary
Ah,
Sorry.
Oh, I
so
love
good.
that.
Yes.
you know who does a really good rendition of that? Say
Hmm.
it with me, Marilyn Manson.
Wow.
Yeah, at the very beginning of their first album, they do that whole boat thing, which is really good.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people like me have the whole thing memorized,
Yeah.
but we can only hear it in the Marilyn Manson way.
Mm.
It's
Oh,
really good.
but Gene Wilder does it so
I
well. He's so good. He's so good.
But yeah, so-
Pink
so-
Floyd, The Wall would count.
Yeah.
It's a very dark
Oh.
version.
Mhm.
Yeah, along those lines, I was thinking like the Queen movie. What's the Freddie Mercury
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
What was that called?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
That's probably not a musical because all the music is just their songs.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not, right?
Mhm.
It's not like part of the script.
Right.
Now, but
But
just
something like
more in
Mamma
that
Mia.
gray area.
Yes.
More in
Yes.
that gray
They
area would
use
be
the songs.
the Elton John
I was thinking of
movie
Rocket
that I
Man.
forgot.
Rocket
Rocket
Man.
Man.
Mm.
Amazing movie.
Mm.
And it's close though, because I feel like they used the
They
songs
did.
to tell the story, but they're already pre-existing songs. So it's almost like maybe like what Mamma Mia is like. They kind of built the script somewhat around the songs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also like jukebox musicals. But going back to Subspace Rhapsody, the other thing is like anytime TV shows have like rarely done this. And I feel like
Yeah.
the ones, even if you've never seen them, you've heard of them. Like I never saw the Buffy one, but like
It's
you hear about it
Oh,
constantly
yes.
in Bunnies. Or like I never saw the Scrubs one, but you know Scrubs did one. So it's sort
Yeah.
of like this now will go down in like television lore as like,
absolutely.
oh, this franchise had a musical episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, having seen the Buffy episode and knowing how good it was and how well it incorporated story and pushed the narrative, that was the thing that made me feel really, really good about Subspace Rhapsody. Like I was like, oh yeah, they got this. Like, no problem.
Do you think this will encourage other franchises to dip their toes into
Hopefully.
musicals?
Maybe.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Mhm.
Because this is a very tricky thing because it doesn't
Yeah.
always work well.
Yeah.
That's right. Run DMC. It's tricky.
Doesn't always work
Nice.
well. I think it worked well in this because they made it, I don't know, it really worked for me.
Yeah.
Starting out with the Cole Porter song and then
Yes.
weaving that through
Mhm.
the subspace, communique that they were getting, and
Yeah.
it was really well done.
Mhm.
Lane Page in the live chat says Marilyn Manson slimed me at a concert.
What?
Huh. Huh.
Wow.
This is getting exciting here.
Wow.
Marilyn Manson puts on a great show.
Interesting. Going back to Star Trek, it's so interesting too that like Strange New Worlds is the first one that did it, because
Yeah.
basically every cast for forever has had cast members who have like won Tonys or at least like, been nominated, been on Broadway. So like it's interesting that they finally did it with this cast. Like even Scott Bakula is going to be in a musical in New York in a couple weeks.
So
like,
cool.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's so many people.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they finally went there.
Mhm.
All right.
Amazing they put it together so fast.
Well, let's move on to number 7, shall we?
Number 7.
What was number 8? Was it Marilyn Manson? I already forgot. I think it was Marilyn Manson.
Subspace Rhapsody.
No, okay. So number 7, we can trust you this time with this one, right, Mohammed? Last time we called on you, you threw quite the curveball.
I did.
You
Put
really
a little bit of English on it there.
threw us for a loop here. But anyway, so Mohammed, maybe you'd like to tell us what number 7 actually is.
Well, I've got some more English for you. We have a 2-way tie for 6th place. Sorry.
Oh.
All right. So
I'll do
instead
one
of
of them
number
if you want.
7, we've got a 2-way tie for number 6.
Amazing.
Starting
All
with
right.
what, Dr. Noor?
Well, one of them was that Picard season 3 is a TNG reunion. Definitely something people were excited about being true. It's interesting
for the news.
Yeah, well, it's
Even-
interesting because this is one that we knew going into 2023 already,
Yep.
because we knew that from Star Trek Day from the previous year. But it's still got a lot of chatter and a lot of excitement, and people really love it. I was actually just talking with my daughter's partner earlier, and that person's a big TNG fan. I said, "Well, you should see Picard season 3."
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
people
even,
call
I
it
mean-
TNG season 8.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's
just
interesting.
those
Sorry.
character portraits getting dropped
Yeah.
was huge news.
Huge.
Like,
yes.
Sorry,
And
Ryan. What
it's
you,
still so hot.
Worf,
I know.
Worf going gray. That was huge
Yes.
news.
Going white.
White.
Mhm.
Yes. White. Yes,
Yeah.
Look
that
at
was
them.
huge news.
I know. They're freaking amazing.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
so cute.
That was
I know.
one that
Oh.
was very confusing to me, because I wasn't sure how I felt about it, because if this were 2022, it might be number 1.
Mhm.
But I don't think I even put it in my top 10,
I didn't either.
because I had it more in mind as a 2022 announcement. But the news was still huge
Yeah.
throughout the first half of 2023. So I could definitely understand why a lot of people put it in their top 10, because
Yeah.
people were talking
Or
about
Twitter
it in
was-
January and February and March and April and May.
And it was still news to mainstream people who hadn't really heard it. But
Yeah.
I mean, that said, I left it out of my top 10, even though I think probably should have been there. But it's because I put other Picard stuff in my top 10. So it's like
Same.
implicit in my
Right.
things.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just too hard to choose 10.
I
It
know.
was. It
Mhm.
was.
Was.
I thought it was gonna be super easy, and I was like, "All right, let's get into this."
Yeah.
And then the best I could do was narrow it down to 16, and I was like, "Man, this is tough." But I
Well,
ended
the
up
thing is-
killing my babies and making it
Yep.
top 10.
Well, even if we only did 5 art news things a week on TMV, that times 52 or like 50 or whatever.
It'd be
That's a lot.
260.
Yeah. I mean, there's
I can't
there
remember
were
if
at
we took a day
least
off.
200
for
mentions
Star Trek.
of
Yes.
Star Trek 4, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, out of those 250 or so news stories,
Mhm.
like 180 of those were going to be news items about Star Trek 14, whether it's
Exactly.
going to happen or not
Exactly.
happen.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
every week.
Come on,
Every week.
150, not 180.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We're exaggerating.
But let us know in the live chat, everybody, what do you think? The Picard TNG reunion, was that huge news? Did that blow you away? Was that the biggest news of 2022 and 2023? because people
In
couldn't stop
some
talking
circles.
about it. Even as the show was airing and we knew what to expect, we were
Mhm.
still going nuts when we see Geordi, when
Yeah.
Worf shows up and cuts off heads and says funny things, talks about chamomile
Yeah.
tea, you know?
Well, also like find out what they've been doing since
Yeah.
they- or if they have kids or whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Never found out who Jordy's wife was though.
No.
I know. We're
It
still
drives me
waiting.
crazy. That's
for
why we need
Thought we
legacy.
would. I really thought that we were going to find out about that, but
Yeah, that
we
was
didn't.
crazy.
Yeah.
What Jenny
Jenny.
said.
I was even like blowing up like L cars things in the background. Like there must be a mention of it somewhere.
Oh my God, right? Yeah.
Oh
like
my gosh.
with all of the
No.
Easter eggs.
Yes.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
pull up somebody's personnel report.
I know. That's all we want. We just want to know.
Speaking
I
of
hit
what
like
we
the
want to
Star Trek
know,
logs. Like, did anyone write home to their mom? Like,
well, speaking of what we want to know, so this was a
Uh-huh.
two-way tie for sixth place, right? There's a two-way tie for sixth place. Melissa, can you tell us what the other giant
Mhm.
news item of 2023, completely unrelated to this one, is?
Oh, kind of. Kind of. Not really unrelated. Star Trek Legacy demand soars. Petition up to 63,000. 63,000. 63,000.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And how many signatures did Strange New Worlds get on their petition?
I think 30.
Yeah, it was like 30,
30
yeah,
something.
30 something.
And they turned it into a show.
Yep.
Yep.
I just felt like the
Hmm.
timing was so unfortunate with
Oh, I
that,
know.
like with the strike. Like
Oh.
Yeah.
it was like such a pressure point
Absolutely.
of like, we need Legacy to happen. Everybody, even the actors, everybody was getting involved. And then strikes hit and it couldn't be
Mhm.
discussed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I checked the petition, it's still up.
Yeah.
Like,
We still need it to
go back to
happen.
that, you guys.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really big. And that was definitely up on my top 10 list because I just
Same.
feel
Same.
like people
Mhm.
were talking about it
Absolutely.
a
Mhm.
lot.
Definitely talking
They
about
were talking about it as soon as, episode 10 ended.
Mhm.
And then there
Mhm.
were petitions, there were hashtags,
Mhm.
it was a lot.
It was
It
even
was a
made like a
lot.
backdoor pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, they even, I mean, by the time episode 10 came around, we'd already been talking about Legacy as a thing.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
because at that point, we were talking about, Seven being the first officer to Shaw, like, but
Right.
that was going to be the thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was massive.
Who came up
We're
with the
s-
name Legacy?
Terry.
Yeah.
Was it Terry himself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they were talking about like Star Trek Titan or,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and somebody asked him what he would call it. And he's like, not that I've been thinking about this, but Legacy.
Okay.
Yes, actually, like when I was going through the articles, I was
Mhm.
like, wow, there's so many. Like, from first of all, Terry did like millions of interviews about
Mhm.
this, and also all of the actors and
Yeah.
other Star Trek personalities and directors. And I'm like, this was news and discussed and talked about like
Yeah.
in every interview. And then it was
Yeah.
clearly a backdoor pilot when we finally saw episode 10. And like
Yeah.
everybody loved it, and the show had so much mainstream appeal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like I just saw Terry tweet about it
Yep.
recently, like within the past couple of days.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's
right at the end of the
still-
year, it started like bumping
Yeah.
up again.
And Inglorious Treksperts are really repping
Mhm.
it. They did like a 10 episodes of their top 10 lists. And
Yeah.
they rated like Picard season 3 is really high, especially they want another season. And then
Mhm.
they're actually doing like tours around Galaxy Cons with
Oh, right,
Terry
yeah.
Metalis.
Yep.
So like where it's getting discussed a ton. Everybody wants it.
Yeah.
When you said GalaxyCon, I thought you were gonna say Gallifrey.
I'm,
Tisk,
I'm
tisk.
sure
Tisk,
it's
tisk.
also being discussed at Gallifrey.
Definitely.
Probably.
High
Definitely.
probability. High probability, yeah.
Ryan, do you know what Gallifrey is?
Yeah, I think it's Doctor Whom, right?
Good job.
And it goes on at the same weekend as something else, but I don't remember what. Is it Virtual TrekCon, actually?
Last year it was.
When
I
is
don't
it
know
this
about
year?
I don't know. Let's
Not
look.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Gallifrey
Nobody
one.
knows. Sorry, Gallifrey. Nobody knows.
Oh my God.
Other people are like, well, we don't know when Virtual TrekCon 5 is either. It's February 15th through 19th, 2024. 5 full days with like 12 to 16 hours of stuff and goodies and premieres and live shows and panels and games. 5 straight days, February 15th through 19th. Why that sounds like the biggest thing ever. It is, and
does.
it has been ever since its inception
And
4 virtual TrekCons ago.
It's the
We
least
can't
expensive of
really-
all conventions, too.
it
It's
is
true.
And we can't forget to mention the Lappy Awards, because that's like the
The
Crown
cornerstone
jewel.
of the whole event.
yes.
Hey, Matt Boardman is in the live chat. We were singing your
Hey!
praises earlier, Matt Boardman.
As
Welcome
usual.
to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right. We'll talk about the Lappy Awards. Good mention there. It is the Star Trek Awards show. It's like the Star Trek Emmys, and that is live. It's the crown jewel of Virtual TrekCon, and it's Virtual TrekCon 5. It will be on Sunday, February 18th, live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time during Virtual TrekCon 5. Last time and the time before, we had dozens of Star Trek celebrities joining in to receive, to present. Some of them were just hanging out. I'm not even sure why, but it was so much fun. And this year will be just as fun. All of the voting was done by the fans, and the winners will be announced in 6 short weeks. Well, Jenny,
Whoa.
do you want to tell us? That's a good surprise look. Sorry.
That was a great look.
I was taking a little note there.
Do you want to tell us what number 5? We're now in the top 5 biggest news stories of the year. And I'm sure this one is
7-way tie.
completely different from the other 2 that we just
Definitely.
mentioned.
Definitely. This one is my personal number 1. And it was
Whoa.
the rebuilding of the Enterprise D bridge
Yeah, that was big.
by these geniuses right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for Frakes.
Yeah.
He's a genius who just didn't rebuild it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I'm just here to fill the captain's seat.
I love it. It's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Look at that smile.
Yeah.
You should have the little toy Picard there as he's sitting there.
We see Terry, David, Denise and Michael, Liz, and Mr. Doug Drexler.
So cute.
What a crew.
Yay.
What a
I know those
crew.
Yeah.
arms anywhere.
Nice.
Like, what's also amazing is that we already knew they were bringing the band back together.
Yeah.
And we were at like an all-time high of excitement, and
Mhm.
then they revealed this in the actual episode, and it was just like the most amazing reveal.
Like I still haven't made it through that episode completely dry-eyed. Like I still haven't seen every second because
Really?
oh my God, yes.
It's so good.
Yes. Like
Aw.
And
Ultimate
then-
endorphin rush.
exactly. And then on top of it, like just it happening in the show, the amount of, especially because of the strike and there being so much less coverage of the actors for so long, and at conventions and stuff like that. So the creative team really got a lot of time and attention,
Mhm.
and we got to hear so much about the whole process and just everything that they did and went through to make it absolutely perfect. I'm really glad that happened. Like I'm really that's definitely one of the silver linings of the strike happening this year, is that all of these people really got credit that I feel like they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
always,
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
so good. It was
Mhm.
just like being home again.
Oh,
The best.
And some people actually got to have a piece of that bridge, like
Yes.
Jenny R., like Matt Boardman in the live chat, right?
Yeah, I just touched it.
Oh,
They're like, girl, get away from our table,
Yeah.
weirdo.
I tried
my
to get it
gosh.
in a frame while it still like smelled fresh, but it's like,
Yeah, they're like, stop
I know.
smelling our
I know.
carpet tables.
oh
So
my
everybody in
God.
the live chat, let us know, do you think this was the 5th biggest news item, Star Trek related, of 2024? Do you think there are bigger ones,
Mhm.
more than 4 bigger ones? Do you think it's right about the right place? Or do you think you're like, hey, so they just rebuild something from 20 something years ago? What's the big whoop? And have us all jump you? I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you
I like
You
the
want-
accent.
yeah. Dr. Anne-Marie Seagull, if we
Mhm.
are ready to move on to number 4, this is where it gets
Ooh.
crazy.
Never moving on. No,
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
I can guess 3 of the 4.
I'm
but
not
I don't know what
over
the
it.
4th
Sorry,
is.
go on.
Yeah,
Number 4.
I live here. Okay. 4. Hashtag Save Star Trek Prodigy campaign. Help save
Yes.
Prodigy on Netflix with 33,000
Mhm.
signatures and an airplane banner going by all of the studios in LA. I think this was just
Yeah.
this was super high up for me. This was so
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. This was in my top 3.
Yeah.
Me too.
Same.
Mhm.
And this actually, I'm sure other things will come up, but this was actually like my biggest Prodigy one because like it wasn't necessarily canceled, and that was more news of like how weird the Paramount Plus streaming
Mhm.
service was getting. It was more that like it was when I heard that, I was almost like it's more of a gift because they're still making season 2. The season 2 people are still being paid to finish season 2.
Yeah.
That's not going to get totally scrapped. So like I'm viewing it as a gift for like we're going to actually get a bigger audience and more Star Trek fans. So the campaign was just amazing, and it was so grassroots, and like the
Yes.
way that only Star Trek can be. It was amazing. And then how like Aaron Wolke and Hageman brothers and Aaron McNamara
Yeah.
and
So
Bonnie
good.
Gordon, like everybody rallied behind it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just really took off in such an amazing, fun way. And then
Mhm.
the best part was we got like, it didn't take like years. It just, we
Yes.
got an answer before the end of 2023. And it
Yeah.
was just like, man, this feels amazing. Look at our
Yeah.
power.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And we
It was-
got to watch that first season again before the end of 2023,
Yes.
which is
Mhm.
so great.
It was
Yeah.
just like the best ending possible because now we have, like,
Yeah.
it's doing well on like the Netflix top 10s, and Netflix has a
Mhm.
massive audience. Like it
Mhm.
was
That's-
it's
That's
just
amazing.
such a
key.
feel good story. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
have kids at conventions more. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's key. I mean,
Yeah.
while Paramount Plus is popular for Star Trek fans, I mean, I suspect there's way more Netflix subscribers out there than there are
Absolutely.
Paramount Plus subscribers out there.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the potential
Yeah.
reach for Prodigy now is much
Mhm.
better than it was back in June.
Yeah.
Even though we were really sad
Mhm.
about that other thing, which is probably still coming as a news item.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
great to see where
yeah.
it landed.
I'd
It
say it's
is.
like levels of magnitude higher on like the pie charts Aaron Wolke was sharing of like how many streamers are on different how many
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
subscribe to different platforms. Like
Mhm.
when it's levels of magnitude higher, it's like wow. And
Yeah.
also like of all those streaming services, how many actually have like that much kid content? So like
Definitely.
I already suspect that Netflix has like
Yeah.
a way even huger chunk of children.
Oh,
watching.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
wonderful.
Netflix is the reason I started rewatching Star Trek in the
Same.
first
Yes,
Yeah.
place.
A lot
exactly.
of
It's
people,
like
yeah.
it's like we're coming back home from college, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
Come-
like I had never even finished Deep Space Nine or Voyager or watched any Enterprise until
Yeah.
it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I be the naysayer here?
Ooh.
This
Mute.
having
Wait, you're the
this-
host.
having this at number 4 is higher. It made my top 10 list,
Mhm.
but I didn't have it as high as number 4.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you why. Not because I don't love it. I do
Mhm.
love it. I'm very happy about it. If we're talking about our favorite news items, then this would be probably at the top. But to me, when the announcement came that Prodigy had been picked up by Netflix, it wasn't a big shock. It was like
Mm.
we'd been beating the drum for it. We've been super excited for it. It's been coming. The showrunners were saying we're 99%. I remember seeing the quote, we're 99% there. We're all guessing maybe it's Amazon. It's probably Netflix. Maybe it's Hulu. And all these things. And we're saying it's almost there. We're so close and all these things. So when it happened, it was joyous. It was exciting, but it wasn't a surprise to me at all. Like I thought that, yeah, okay, cool. We did it. It was more of a celebration than something, crazy newsworthy that surprised me. At least that's how I looked at it. I felt like the bigger news was, well, we'll get to that later.
So I have a point to make from the live chat that was just amazing. Let me find who saw it. He said, okay, Don Ranger Power. So remember the day that it got canceled, they announced, or canceled in quotations, they announced 5 shows were leaving the streaming service.
Yeah.
So like so what is his name? Don Ranger Power made an amazing point that like iCarly, which is another really popular kid show, that actually, like, Netflix didn't pick that up. That didn't get picked up. That was like the other one I assumed someone would pick up. So actually, like, this campaign really was amazing. And because if something with that star power didn't get picked up, that's huge.
And in counter to your point, Ryan, the subject here is the campaign as opposed to just the saving of it.
Picking up.
It's true.
It's both things, right? It's the campaign and that it was picked up by Netflix. So to me, the Netflix aspect is great.
Gotcha.
And it's the happiest thing in the world for me, but it wasn't like, didn't shock me. But the campaign aspect was really high. So that's why, it's
right.
Gotcha. The campaign, I think, was the big
and the campaign include like to me, the campaign also included like how so many Prodigy people went to STLV and engaged with everybody and did panels and let the EMH thing drop as part of that.
So good.
So it's all like, I kind of lumped all of that into this.
I wonder if we'll see more little peaks of it in Netflix as other Netflix series come out. So, like, for example, in February, the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action thing's coming to Netflix.
Calm down, Muhammad. We all are very well aware of your views on Avatar.
I love Avatar, but I wonder if that will also do a little peak for Prodigy too at the same time, because like, a lot of other people are watching that. They're like, oh, look at this. You may also like Star Trek Prodigy.
Oh, that's
and people who are kind of on and off with their subscriptions.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
A good point.
Well, and I also think celebrations are newsworthy.
Yeah, definitely.
But the repercussions of this one, I think, repercussion-wise, this could be one of the top things, if not the top, because this means we'll have like a huge new influx of fans.
It could. You're right.
And fans stay fans for life.
It could grow into 10 seasons of Prodigy. It could grow into 4 seasons of Prodigy and 2 movies. It can bring in 1 million 12-year-old and 5-year-old and 6-year-old new fans that then go over into Paramount Plus. I mean, like you said, the repercussions could be the biggest ever.
Yes, exactly.
It's just, and then also like fans of Star Trek grow Star Trek families. So that means like then these kids will grow up and have like, my grandparents were fans. Like, it's repercussions for like a century.
Yeah.
So.
And especially just the opportunity with there being a bit of not a drought, because I mean, we're getting two new seasons of Star Trek this year, but compared to the smorgasbord we've had over the last couple of years, it's going to feel like a drought. So people are going to want to see new Star Trek, and they will watch it. Which is
also it came out during winter break, which is so brilliant.
Yes,
great,
brilliant timing.
I see a lot more of it than I would have if it came out in like a month later.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready to move into the top 3?
Yeah.
This is going to be crazy, you guys.
I can't think of the third. I'm curious.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I've just forgotten.
All right, everybody, I will announce number 3. Now, some people can make the case, I think, that this was the biggest news item. And the reason I would say this is because we can almost all remember where we were when we heard this news. It was so big that we actually remember where we were and how we found out about the news that Star Trek Discovery
Yeah.
had been canceled.
Yeah. That was my
It
number
was
Well, I'd say not renewed, I guess.
right. It was completely unexpected, at least to us. The actors themselves didn't even know.
Right.
They were finding
Mhm.
out the
Yeah.
news on
That
the
day.
cruise.
Mm.
Yeah.
They were finding out the
Mhm.
same. It's kind of like one of those just outrageous announcements where people come to you and they start asking questions and you
Yeah.
say, I'm finding out at the same time you
Yeah.
are. I know
Yeah.
as much as you do. And for
Yeah.
them, they had that feeling, but on such a large scale.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that really sent shock waves throughout
Mhm.
Star Trek. Suddenly, it almost felt like there was a chink in the armor.
Yeah.
Like we thought Paramount is flying high.
Yeah.
Right.
Discovery's going 7 seasons. We're going to have 18 new shows every
Yes.
year,
Mhm.
everything. And then suddenly it's like, whoa, okay, we are still
Yeah.
living in a world in which business decisions have to be made. And,
Mhm. Do
if you
they?
really value a show, you need to support it. Otherwise, things might happen.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Pretty big, though.
I rated it
It's
as
pretty
5
big.
because, like, when you view it that way at first glance, but then I was like, oh, this means that Discovery will have been in production for over the course of 9 calendar years.
Right.
And
Mhm.
to me, like, it can't go on for forever. And they have new shows coming in the pipeline. So
Mhm.
I thought the most shocking to me was the way that the cast didn't seem to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
That was
that was a
crazy.
pretty big shock.
Mhm.
It was
But
probably
I
a
assumed it would be
quick
nearing the end
decision,
anyway.
Yeah.
but
Mm.
I don't know. Muhammad, do you remember where you were
Yep.
and how you found it, right?
Yep.
You can
I was
picture
I
it.
was in Terry Farrell's autograph line.
Oh.
And somebody was looking at their phone
Oh, at
like,
the
oh my
cruise.
God, on the cruise. Yeah.
Oh my
You guys had
somebody
wireless.
said, hey, Star Trek Discovery got canceled. Like, what?
What?
Mhm.
No, I totally remember.
Wow. Yeah, that was huge news. Everybody in the live chat right now, let us know, where were you when you heard that news? Was it huge to you, or were you don't even really remember? You're probably at the grocery line, and you read that and you're like, oh, that's weird. But as Anne Marie points out, that's true.
Well,
9
it'll
months
be
of
like they
production.
started in
9 years, I
2016
mean.
or something. I
Yeah.
think they
Yeah.
started shooting it in 2016. So that means,
Or
and
15
then it gets,
even, maybe.
yeah, it probably was pre-production then, and then it gets
Yeah.
aired in 2024. That's a lot of years for a show, like people basing their schedule on the show and
Mhm.
and upping the salaries every year.
I didn't believe it right at first because there were so many of those stories back.
Oh,
you remember
sure.
the
Yeah,
first few years, like
exactly.
Discovery's canceled, it's in disarray. Like, oh, it's just completely made up. But I think they said, like, it's tweeted by StarTrek.com. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to work
StarTrek.com's
around.
been hacked.
Yeah.
Ah.
I remember having that thought. I remember thinking, oh, this again, like,
Yeah.
no way. Like, obviously. And then sort of seeing it pop up again and then
Yeah.
being like, oh.
Like Star Trek 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no part of me that was not
Also-
shocked by this when it
Yeah.
happened.
Also, I'm not sure if this is going to show up on the thing yet, but Starfleet Academy, I think, had already been announced, right?
Mhm.
And also, we had Section
Yes.
31. We
Yeah.
definitely had Section 31.
There were at
Mhm.
least
So I
rumors
also-
and words
yes.
that these were
Yeah.
in the pipeline, whether
And
they
we had
were
already
actually
had that episode
greenlit
with
fully.
Mary Wiseman, like
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to the academy. So I also kind of felt like we at least have Section 31, maybe
Right.
more, that are basically spinoffs.
Mhm.
So
Uh-huh.
It's like
Good
when
point.
there's a character in
Good
your
point.
favorite movie that dies, but his baby lives on, and you're like, and they lift it up and they're like, but the prince has survived. And they're like, well, at least, or like when Data dies,
when
but then at
TNG
least they
ended.
got B4,
Yeah.
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 It's kind of
Or
like
they
that.
could just resurrect him like Coulson for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Remember? Because he died
Yeah.
in one of the movies and they brought him back for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But
Thanks to
this is also
Tahiti.
like 90s Star Trek. Like the
Mhm.
shows would end and there'd be other shows already going, and there'd be spin-offs from those shows and spin-offs from the spin-offs from the spin-offs. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wasn't really rocked by it, except for the part about the actors not knowing. That was surprising.
Was.
I follow a lot of people on Twitter who are huge Discovery fans, and there was devastation within that part of the fandom. Like they were,
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice. It'd be better if they already had this. If they had just freaking told us, like, there is an Academy spin-off.
You
It's a
sound like their
spin-off
mom.
of Discovery. Tell us.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. You know, you
Yes,
can come to us with anything. As long as you tell us about it, we can work it
I
out.
don't think they meant it to be like, I mean, I assume they didn't mean it to be like devastating news, to be like, look at the state of Star Trek. I think
Well, yeah, I think it was
rephrase it.
Yeah, it was probably a shock to them too. I mean, on the business side, it was probably a shock to them too, as they hadn't counted on it being canceled.
Yeah.
Therefore, everything had been filmed without the knowledge of it being without the wrap up. So I think it was probably a shock to everyone who made the decision to cancel it too.
Now, here's the thing though. This is about, you know, one of the criteria is most talked about. I don't know if this was talked about number one. So I'm actually okay with it being around number 3, because I don't feel, I mean, it was huge. It was extremely impactful, but I feel like once the news came out, it kind of had its ripple, but it might have been also because there was the cruise going on. There are other things going on.
There were the Lappies had just
Yeah,
happened.
poor Doug still had a panel he had to do after that.
Right, right then.
It's like, well, gotta address this.
and so I feel like it kind of, the talk of it kind of dissipated. At least it seemed like to my eyes and ears. I don't feel like it was talked about the most in 2023.
And the Picard hype kind of overtook it.
But I think like Anne-Marie said, the fact that we have Section 31 coming and Starfleet Academy
that could
kind of cushioned the fall there, because we know some of our favorite characters are going to be there. We know they'll be calling Dr. Muhammad Noor if they know what's good for him, for a little advice.
Well, it'd be also different if there weren't even new series, not even just new seasons, but new series in the pipeline. Having new series in the pipeline makes me feel like, whatever, it's fine. And they did have such a long run in terms of like calendar years working on the show that I think nobody can look at that and say it's not a success.
Yeah,
absolutely. That definitely softened the blow too.
And it kicked off the renaissance of TV.
Speaking of kicking things off, Dr. Noor, are you ready to kick off the top 2?
Sure thing.
Whatever that means. All right. Dr. Noor, what is the number 2, the second biggest news story of 2023?
Well, this is one we've already talked about a little bit in terms of the other half of the equation. So there's the I wouldn't even say silver lining. It was more like a big improvement. But the thing that made the need for the big improvement was Prodigy gets canceled from Paramount Plus. And it wasn't even just that it was that season 2 wasn't going to come out on Paramount Plus, but the removal of season 1.
Effective immedially, practically. It was like
pretty
1 or 2
close.
days,
It was like a couple of days later.
They were like, watch it by Sunday. That was crazy. And people were like, oh shit, I haven't finished like whatever Pink Ladies thing yet. Like, I guess I'm never gonna watch it. But it was just so crazy that like, it was more shocking because of this crazy hype about Paramount Plus is the one place for Star Trek, and then like really
home of all Star Trek,
and because season 2 was supposedly almost done and about to come out, we're like, wait, what?
And they insist on showing it before it goes to Nickelodeon. So like there were all these things in place that they were actually like shooting themselves in the foot to limit the audience of Prodigy by making sure it was on Paramount Plus. So that was all very shocking. But you know what? Yes, a great workout, and like also it actually really helped. It helped the franchise, and you know, maybe obviously we know they did it for tax credit reasons, but it would have been smart if they had done it for the real reason, which is it would do better and get more traction on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big, and I feel like it's number 2 because it's kind of lumped in also with the movement that followed as well. But then that kind of blurs into the other one. So it's a very I was thinking earlier, that's kind of 3 stories.
Yeah.
Is what we're and in fact, I could think of a 4th story that was really big. So one is it getting removed from Paramount, even though season 2 was supposedly coming out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It went from season 2 coming out at the end of the year to it's not coming out.
Yeah.
And you get nothing. Give it all back.
Yeah.
And so that was one bit of news. Then another
We're not just taking away your lunch, we're taking away the breakfast you already ate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Throw it up.
Right?
Yes.
Ew.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's normal.
Ew.
But also then there was the movement. There was the whole Save Star Trek Prodigy and all that kind of stuff, which we lumped into the 3rd one, which was when it eventually did get picked up by Netflix. But then there was also a 3rd news item, which was very recent when it did air on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's hitting all these top 10 things in different countries, and it's doing so well. And there are all these screenshots of it being, number 3 on Netflix or number 6 in Germany and things like that.
Maybe it was actually
that's huge
brilliant
news too.
that they canceled it without having a home for it yet. Because basically we did all the work for them to get it super popular and climbing up the rankings. So you're welcome. It's obviously spare us the heartache and spare Paramount Plus sort of getting talked shit about by just saying we already sold it. But if they had done that, we wouldn't have had this. It wouldn't have been trending on.
They were
Twitter
playing
for,
the long
days
game.
and days. It was a great long game, actually.
It was a good play.
Yeah,
a good play.
It was.
Yeah.
So everybody in the live chat, let us know what you think. What's the biggest news story? Number 1, do you think that was number 2? Second biggest news story of 2023. What do you think of Discovery? Was that number 3? And what do you think is number 1? I think most of us might have a guess as to what number 1 is.
Good guess.
Should we tell them? Should we get into it, Melissa Longo?
Oh, yes. This was my number 1.
Yeah.
The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes productions halt. That was big news around the world.
No, it definitely was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I feel like no matter how much we were tired of hearing about it, maybe I'm talking about myself here. It's like it's just going to keep being news month after month after month. So even when it was and here's the key. So this is 2 different news items, kind of, right? There's WGA going on strike, and then a month or 2 later, SAG-AFTRA went on strike. The reason we kind of lumped these together was because there was way more news covering both as an entity than there was about just one or the other. That summer was just full of SAG-AFTRA and WGA all striking and how it affects Star Trek and Star Trek actors and Star Trek writers and Star Trek crew people coming out and picketing and events.
And being high up in both of the negotiating committees.
Right, like Michelle Hurd.
And David A. Goodman was in the actual WGA negotiating committee, and Bill Wolkoff was the strike captain. People are really high up.
Bill Wolkoff was a freaking superhero. God bless that man.
And it was historic in terms of the biggest strike since whenever Ronald Reagan was president of SAG-AFTRA, which also kind of
wow.
I feel like this is can possibly continue to be one of the people from Star Trek who was high up in both strikes could potentially go on to run for office. We don't know. A public office, because that has been the trend in the past for these strikes. And in addition, it affects years to come, at least the next 2 years of production.
Yeah.
What do you guys think in the live chat? Do you think this news item was the biggest of the year? Do you think because for me, I can say for myself, in LA, we live in kind of our own little bubble to where we think that everything that happens in LA is such huge news and huge. It's kind of like, have you noticed? I used to hate this when I was a kid. Every movie takes place in New York and LA. I'm like, not everything happens in New York and LA, you guys. Sometimes it happens in freaking Idaho or Miami or Anchorage. You know, life isn't that crazy
Not
to where
every plot
everything
is about show business.
Right. So that's why, to me, it felt like the biggest news. I thought that that's what everybody was talking about, and that's all everybody cared about. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe people in Kentucky didn't care, or people in
No, they
Chicago
did care. There's all over the country, people were caring. Even my family cared.
Too many Karens.
And they live in Colorado, but having production sites in Georgia and in Canada, it does, and you know, even it would extend over to the UK and other places too, because there's a lot of shows that take place over there as well that are SAG-AFTRA or WG covered. But it would affect the entertainment business on a global level, not just in LA or in New York.
Yeah.
Yes, because all the appearances and like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, like the two biggest ones a year. And but also like it affects what's actually on television next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
true.
everybody watches TV.
Absolutely.
Lucia out in Brazil reminds us it could also be outside of our country too. Here I am trying to make a speech about like not everything's about us, and all I mentioned was United States cities. Meanwhile, Jenny's not even in the US. She's like, you know, there are other cities, bro.
It affected social media. Like actors weren't allowed to talk about like television. It got like it was already like pretty hardcore, but then when SAG-AFTRA got involved, it became like very extreme. So it affected everything.
And those contracts, you know, while they don't affect, you know, oh my God, unions in other countries, other countries, they do though, because those, you know, those wins
like set the standards.
Exactly.
And then there's crossovers too.
Yeah.
And they're actually, in addition, all the AI implications for other areas of life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I have a number of friends who work in a variety of areas in the industry in Canada. And, you know, I had a friend waiting to work on Strange New Worlds, you know, and he was literally like packing his bag in July to go start filming, and then you know, nothing. So it's been, you know, while there have, you know, Canadian productions have been able to keep filming, there were a lot of, there's a lot of American productions that come up here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, come up here. We're wonderful.
Which, you know what? I got to be honest. I'm kind of happy about that. Let's spread the wealth. Let's let's let other cities film things, you know, like New Mexico, you know, Albuquerque, Atlanta, you know, there's some things that go on in Vancouver, Toronto, like
Halifax.
For all mankind in Bulgaria. So good.
Wow.
In Croatia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then also in addition, just like reminding the world about the strength of unions. It just
Definitely.
They were huge. I mean, that was so huge.
Yeah, the hot labor summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, even the Prodigy campaign, the Legacy campaign, the strikes, all of these are such great reminders of the power of collective action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can really get things done when we all work together.
And fans, for that matter.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I was thinking this the other day. Nothing against Prodigy, but like the actors who voice it for the most part are like so big with other things that it's not like we even hear from them a lot on social media. Like that was such a fan-led movement. So
Absolutely.
yay, Star Trek
Speaking of
fans.
movements,
Yeah.
we only have a few minutes left, and everybody in the live chat, let us know what you think about our top 10 list, which ended up being 12. Also, if you're not watching this live, in the comments below, let us know what's your top 10 list. And if you are watching live when this video is over, hit the refresh button and the comment section will appear magically. And then please give us your top 10 list or top 5, or tell us what you agree with or disagree with, because this is a very subjective thing. You know, we just kind of see things from our points of view or from the assets that are available to us. Very quickly, here's some very quick news items. Number 1 is this one, just to fly through it, because this one is developing. So we don't really have much to say about this, I don't think. This is on Paramount Plus, and apparently the movies, the Star Trek movies, are gone from Paramount Plus, except for the Kelvin movies.
And yesterday, HBO had a marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on Max.
On TV had a marathon of like all of them yesterday.
Strange.
Because people are like, is it a mistake?
Yeah. See, look, here are the movies, and it has the 3 Kelvin movies and then 2 documentaries.
I love that someone made a TikTok of this.
Yeah. So is this a glitch? Is this?
I saw there was somebody asked like Paramount Plus support what was going on, and there was an answer basically saying that there's been an issue with streaming rights, and so they're not currently available. That post has actually been deleted since.
Oh,
could be though, because that does match like the year change.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the fact that it's gone is like,
I'm amazed that somebody was in the office working.
Yeah, the intern screwed up and gave too much information there, I think.
Right? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
oh my God.
They're like, change the password and kick Bill out. He can't handle. Take his phone away,
Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, you had one job, Bill.
Yeah. He's like, but I was telling the truth. They're like, you don't get this job,
do you?
I'm
like, is that why J.J. Abrams left right before midnight? That's really interesting.
So that's developing. We'll see what happens there. This is brand new to us. Also, very quickly, check this out. This is from our good friends over at ScreenRant.com. It's entitled Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 Ending has, quote, great promise for Season 3, says the creators. That is the Hagemans. This is an article on when the Hagemans, Kevin and Dan Hageman, the co-showrunners of Star Trek Prodigy, they were on our show, Star Trek and Chill, last week. They gave us so many juicy tidbits. Do yourself a favor, go check out our Star Trek and Chill live video with them as our guests. They're so much fun. They're so gracious with our time. And also go check out the article on ScreenRant.com written by our good buddy John Orchiola. That's a good one. Lastly, here's our last news item. Yes, Anne-Marie?
Oh, I was gonna, you go first.
Okay, here's our last news item. It's a quickie too. Check this out. It's from TrekMovie.com. Star Trek Discovery Season 5 episode
I was gonna say, let's bounce this to Friday.
Are revealed.
This is massive.
Well, here
this
they
is a
are.
teaser now for Friday.
Watch this. Watch this. Here they come. And that's the 10. Can you believe it? Okay, that's all the time we have, everybody.
Okay, but we're gonna have to delve into this Friday, because also what's been released on IMDb, and then these were released from like what was submitted to the, I think, like directors to like
WGA.
Was it? Yeah, to like so that they could put it in their archives or whatever. So, and then IMDb filled in some other things. So now we have like most episodes writers, most episodes directors, plus these titles.
I wonder if the titles are placeholders or the actual for sure final title.
Well, we never know, but they sound suspiciously true. Like suspiciously like real Discovery episodes.
Yeah, like
is what I mean.
There was one episode of, maybe it was Prodigy, which like the title changed. Like there was an early thing, but then right when it came out, it actually wasn't that word. Do you remember this?
Interesting. No, but I know the article does say that these titles are subject to change. So they're not set in stone.
And we know 9 and 10 are a two-parter, because Jonathan Frakes mentioned, sort of like alluded to that at some point in another interview. But they both have like different titles, as like Deep Space Nine used to do.
Yeah.
Did he do 9 and 10?
He just did 9, I think.
Okay.
Right.
Right. And then there were a couple of other really quick hits, if you want to talk about this more on Friday, because this is such a like meaty discussion. But
Well, yeah, there's a
Rolling
lot more to
Stone-
that for sure, but yeah.
So like Rolling
Especially
Stone, which
because
is
we're
so
really good at like
mainstream.
digging in deep and
Yes.
figuring out, because it mentions the writers as well, right? And so you can look back and say, hey, so and so wrote this
Yes.
episode already, you know, a previous episode, which is great. And that's also a lot of fun to
Yeah.
look into.
And I believe
I can't wait
all
for
of
Friday.
them, maybe one, but all of the others have done other episodes. So yes, it'll be super fun to be like, which
That's
ones did
awesome.
they write?
Mhm.
But like really fast and quick hit is that Rolling Stone, like the super mainstream magazine, put out a top 10 episodes of all TV of all 2023, and Strange New Worlds Charades made it, which
That's
is incredible.
awesome.
I love that episode so much.
That one does not get enough love. I think
Yeah.
that was
I
my
agree.
favorite
I agree.
episode of the
Yep.
season, and
Really
it's not
great.
making any of the lists. It's not
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
and I'm like, it was funny. It was
It was
good.
great.
What more do you
Funny,
want?
and it was like all the stuff with Spock and Amanda
Yes.
was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
just so
That's
good.
amazing work.
Mhm.
And then Ira weighing in on 2024 fashion. So everybody's been sharing around
Oh
that,
yeah,
like,
that was been great.
meme of like, this is what people are going to wear in 2024. And it's like
And
Dax with
computers.
that
I love
feather
it.
in her
That's
hair.
awesome.
Oh my God,
Yes.
What computers are going to look like? Oh, they look
Uh-huh.
terrible. I'll
That's
stay with
awesome.
my old model.
Channel 90.
Yes,
Yeah.
same.
All right, everybody,
Yes,
let's talk
Spreader.
about the week very quickly. Yesterday on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, we released our full Next Generation Season 2 review special. That was a lot of fun. Sirach Lofton and myself talked about every episode of Season 2 at warp speed. It's nuts. Go check it out. The full discussion is available right now on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel. Now, tomorrow, that's Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. What do we have here? We have, it's Anything Goes month at the Falling Tower YouTube channel. So Mohammed and I are going nuts. It's not just comedy. It's not just sci-fi. Nothing boring like that. We're going crazy. So we're doing things like SpongeBob, and no way, we would never.
I was on IMDb looking up what TV show Anything Goes was. And then I realized it was your month theme.
I was like, Broadway? What?
I know. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the musical.
Mm.
What?
No, so Anything Goes, everybody knows, is track 3 on Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses' debut album. Everybody knows that. It's a good song. So check it out. What we are doing, oh, this is a fun one. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Falling Tower YouTube channel. We are reviewing Julia. Julia with our good friend,
Yay!
actress Kat. Don't cheer just yet. Wait till you see me.
I love
how
Julia so much.
Muhammad and I, well, you'll see.
Okay.
You'll see.
BB Newirth is so good on it.
Oh,
I love
David
her.
Hyde Pierce.
I
Mhm.
love her.
Gotcha. Mhm.
Oh, I have to watch
Isabella
it. Just-
Rossellini.
Oh
that
my
cast is freaking
gosh.
amazing.
Now I have to watch the show.
That's right,
I
making
love
that
those
face.
people.
And I love Sarah Lancashire.
Sounded like a pasta dish.
I do too.
So good.
So anyway, the point is, everybody go check that out, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Falling Tower YouTube channel. Then on Thursday on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we got some kind of special Throwback Thursday goodie for you. It'll be a surprise. You just go check it out. You'll love it. Then on Friday, come right back here to this channel, the Virtual TrekCon channel, for Star Trek and Chill. It's going to be crazy. We're going to do one more top 10 list for all of you, because that's what people do at this time of year. This will not be anything about 2023. It will be, what are the top 10 questions we want answered in 2024?
Ooh.
There are a lot of questions. Will Strange New Worlds air? Will we get 1 or 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds, or will Section 31 be completed? Will there be new announcements about Starfleet Academy? Whatever. Or it could be even in-universe questions like, will Spock and Chapel get together and get married? And
Wait a minute,
things like that.
Starfleet Academy is
No,
like number 3. How did that not make the top 10 list? Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to we had a couple also honorable mentions, but
Yeah,
anyway, that's
Cisco Day.
Friday. 5 p.m.
Okay.
Pacific,
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern time live. Then lastly, on Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, that's 12 p.m. Eastern time, we've got our first segment review on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel of Survivors. That is Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Episode 3, Survivors. Which one is that?
Good tea, nice house.
That's the one. Good tea, nice house. Real quick, we had a few.
Stop. Okay.
Where are they? Yeah, we had a few honorable mentions of the news items. The new series order for Star Trek Starfleet Academy is announced. The EMH Doctor is going to appear on Prodigy Season 2. Annie Wershing of Picard passes away, sadly. So does Manny Koto of Enterprise. After several months of strikes, what will be in 2024? What will the 2024 landscape look like? People talked about that. Very short treks to celebrate the animated series 50th anniversary. That was pretty decent news. People talked about that for a while.
I rate that high too.
The creation of the first ever Cisco Day holiday event. We created the Cisco Day. We got to make it
trended on Twitter for 2 days.
Yes.
Yes.
That
How
was
many
huge.
of these news items trended on Twitter for 2 days?
Absolutely.
The Cisco Day, May 22nd. It's coming again this year. Check it out. Go to the ciscoday.com. Then we also have Strange New Worlds. Got to the streaming top 10 rankings 7 weeks in a row. Picard did it for 3 weeks. Sorry, not in a row. 7 weeks out of 9, 7 of 9. And Picard did it for 3 weeks.
The
Paramount might
was
be
a
merging
thing.
with Warner Brothers.
Warner
That's
Brothers.
weird, but that's developing as well. That's it. Those are our honorable mentions. Let's get out of here, everybody. Jenny Johnson,
Hey,
where can people find you online?
well, you can find me through my website, jennyrjohnson.com, where you can find information about me commissioning a painting if you like, or you can find my shop where you can buy prints. You can also find me on pretty well every social media platform, although warning, I'm slacking off this week. So if you want to see my old posts, I'm at Jenny R. Johnson Art everywhere except for Twitter, where I am Jenny R. Johnson.
What about you, Melissa Longo? Are you jennyrjohnsonart.com as well?
No.
That would be confusing.
Yeah.
It would.
That was very confusing. You can find me on social media at Melissa Longo, Malissa, and theintrovertedrepublic.com at Walking Art Made by Melissa. There is a discount that starts at midnight.
Birthday discount?
Yes, a birthday discount
Awesome.
Wow.
for anything in the store. And
You can get this sweatshirt.
Yes, and I put the code in the chat. It's birthday in all caps.
Fun.
That's awesome.
That's so
sweet.
fun.
And then also on Walking Art Made by Melissa on Patreon. I'm writing a story. Yay.
Mhm. Everybody's making combinations of if Paramount and Warner Brothers
Oh my
combine and what's
God,
called. Don't
Ryan.
call what? No, so people are just coming up with ideas. I just throwing out Mount
Paramax.
Brothers. I think that might be fun.
Yeah.
Dr. Muhammad Noor, where can people find you online, please?
I'm on all the socials at Mafnoor, M-A-F like Frank, N like November, O-O-R, or on YouTube as Biotrekkie, B-I-O-T-R-E-K-K-I-E.
Excellent. Dr.
Thanks.
Emery Siegel.
At Anne-Marie Siegel 1 on Twitter.
Everybody, you can find me on Twitter. That's twitter.com at RyanTGHusk. Once again, that is at RyanTGHusk, or Virtual TrekCon, The Seventh Rule, or Falling Tower on your favorite social media, but especially right here on YouTube. Remember when YouTube was new?
Mm-hmm.
We would
A while
watch like a
ago.
flying toaster or like a kitten. And anyway,
Yep.
that's it for us. Thank you all very much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. We got a ton of news for you. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. And until then, when you want to see your favorite top 10 list, they're everywhere, but you could put it on the main viewer.